Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's Thursday, and here are today's notices, and I'd love to introduce you all to Miss Noble, who's looking for her debut in the notices. Say hello, Miss Noble. Hello, Miss Noble's here, taking over on Madam Cooper's maternity leave. We miss you, Madam Cooper. We hope you're well. Notices from me today. First thing I need to tell you is that this afternoon, co-curricular, Years 7 and 8 boys football is cancelled. Sorry for no advance notice, Mr. Bell. I'll come and email you in a second. Year 7 and 8 boys football is cancelled. Year 9 and 10 boys football, you move to the first half of the session. So that will be at 4 o'clock rather than at 4:45, so you can get the most of any remaining daylight. So 7 and 8 boys football cancelled, 9 and 10 moves to the first half of the session. Secondly, I've got a couple of useful revision tips for you because we're all revising so hard. Revision tip number 1 is from Mr. Hubbard, and that is to say that the only real way to revise for maths is to practice maths questions. The only real way to revise for maths is to practice maths questions. So don't just sit there looking blankly at a book. Revise. Don't even think about walking through that door. Don't even think about walking through that door. Thank you ever so much indeed. So lots of maths practice should be going on. Second revision tip from me today, just something I thought of this morning, because so many of you wander around with these snazzy smartphones or iTablets or whatever else they might be. Oh, isn't that lovely and peaceful, that lovely music? And so I was thinking, instead of sat there blankly reading your notes when you're sat there doing your prep in the evening, why don't you dictate those notes into the microphone function on your smartphone so that you made a little audio recording of all the things you need to know, and then you can listen to it while you go to sleep. And I'll tell you why. Because actually scientists have proven that our brains retain much more knowledge in that moment just before we go to sleep than they do at any other point in time. So you could go to sleep to your own voice, gently reading through your revision notes, and you're far more likely to remember those things. And you can sit there in your revision sessions next week and learn them through your earphones as well. Isn't that clever? And the final thing I wanted to talk about today was next week and the exam timetable. There's been a few changes. I'm trying to get those published. Primarily those changes are that on Monday, if you're in year 9, you go to games at your normal time. And if you're not in games and the other half is, that's when you have, I think it was your Spanish or your French exam, or whichever one it was, on Monday for year 9. But your games is normal time. That was wrong on the original timetable. I have changed it. If you are in year 8, I've now swapped over your geography and music exams on Thursday morning. So you have geography first, music second, and the music is staggered. It's not all at the same time, one class at a time, because year 8 music will do in the music room. And if you're in year 10, I've made some changes to Tuesday because you had exams at 9 and 11 and that didn't make sense. So I think I've put those at 10 o'clock and 12 o'clock just to give you a little bit more revision time in the run up to each exam. Does that make sense? So I'll send that around again. I'm trying to get it sent to all students, but the distribution list doesn't seem to be working. But so that's a couple of changes to exam timetable. Told you about how to revise. Oh, that's what I want to tell you as well. Next week, you're going to have independent study time in between your exams. You've seen that on your timetables. I want to tell you a couple of bits and pieces about how to use that time effectively. Number 1, that is independent study time. That's not sat around chatting to your mates or doing nothing. So you need to be revising. You need to be thinking what exams are coming up, what do I need to do for them. We've got tips. You can be making mind maps. You can be making cue cards. You can be looking over notes, but that's not ideal. Obviously, you're not going to be making audio recordings of your notes, but you could be listening to ones you've already made. And also in that time, it might be that you want to sit and read a book quietly for a little bit if you're feeling well prepared and you need to relax. All of those things are fine. And you may have headphones in quietly, so as long as nobody else can hear them. However, we will not be making Chromebooks available for your use in independent study time. That's all year groups, because frankly, they're not much good to you at this point in time. You've had access to revision notes on those for weeks now, online that is, so get that stuff printed out, because you will not have access to a Chromebook in independent study time. That is all year groups. If you have your own computer, fine. If you have your own tablet, fine. You're not going to revise from a mobile phone because there's too many distractions. But actually, when it comes to that last minute bit of revision, often having access to the internet is more of a distraction than it's worth. So we won't be giving you Chromebooks to use in independent study time. Secondly, I expect that to be quiet. Expect it to be focused. If you then have a bit of independent study time followed by an exam, the teacher in the room will ask you to leave the room before the exam, and you'll then come back in silently and start the exam and exam conditions. And I will be talking more about what exam conditions actually means in tomorrow's notices. But it's been a great week. You're working really hard. You're really focused. It's fantastic to see so many people with great revision notes who are really, really being studious. And I think we're going to get some Bonza results. So thank you all. Have a lovely afternoon. I'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye.